He goes, "Hey, are you raising money for this?" I was like, and it all happened so fast, right? Because we pivoted, we launched this new thing. I'm like, yeah, we are. We've kind of, we have like maybe 500 committed right now. I don't know exactly how much we're raising, but let me get back to you. And later that night, I'm like going to sleep. I'm like, Kevin, you're an idiot. Like, this is Uber's first investor. You just tell him yes, and we figure it out, right?
Welcome to Founder Fridays, where we sit down with the builders who've been in the trenches to talk shop, product design, and everything else that no one usually put on the slide deck. I'm Anastasia Crew, I lead startup marketing at Notion, and today I'm joined by Kevin Jurovich, who is an NFL player turned wealth manager turned founder, and now Kevin is building Hubble, a platform that helps everyday experts monetize their hard-earned knowledge through one-on-one calls, resources, content, you name it. So I'm excited for this conversation. And Kevin, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm fired up to be here. Big fan of Notion for a long time. So, yeah, thank you for having me and excited that we get to chat today.
You're an athlete, you've been a wide receiver for a few well-known franchises. Then you turn into the wealth management path. Now you're founder. Like from being in an NFL to now leading a startup or being in the startup world, what lessons have you carried over from sports to entrepreneurship?
When I was a little kid, like most kids that play sports, you're like, I'm going to be a professional athlete. The odds that you achieve that are super low. But for me, it was like, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to achieve that dream. And like anything in life, good things take time. The challenge with being a founder is at least when you're playing sport, you can see yourself progressing much quicker, whether you're like exercising, whether you're practicing a move. As a founder, it takes a long time to actually see progress, but it's that same mindset like, hey, good things take time. It's going to take longer than you think to achieve product market fit. It's going to take longer than you think to have success, but let's do the little things that we can every single day to improve, to get better. And if we continue to do that, one day we might have a chance at success. And try to have some fun. Like, try to have some fun while you're stuck I call it my time in the desert. That's the time when you're trying stuff and it's not working. Try to get some joy in the process, because yeah, it's gonna take time. And if we get too caught up on the destination, like, hey, I'll be happy when I raise this round, or hey, I'll be happy when we get this many users. That's not the right mindset.
Yeah, totally. Well, after sports, you've gone through a few transitions, right? Like what ultimately pushed you to take that founder leap?
I love to say in life, never be afraid to be a beginner again and never be afraid to reinvent yourself. I still remember like my first NFL paycheck. I think I made like $12,000. I'm making like $12,000 a week, right? Which for a 23-year-old is a lot of money. And I remember going to the bank. I was the only person on the whole team that didn't get direct deposit because I liked this physical check and I wanted to walk to the bank and put the check on the cashier's desk and say, I'm here to cash this, right? When I got done playing sports, I got into wealth management because it was like a super logical transition for me. Like, okay, cool. I made some money. I have a bunch of wealthy athlete friends. We all spend way more money than we save. There needs to be financial education and literacy and help from someone who's kind of been there and can help these people. And then I was like 4 years into this profession. I had three athletes, right? Which is not how you make a book of business. But I was in Silicon Valley. I was like in the middle of Mountain View and Palo Alto. It's like the heart of big tech. Who do you think my biggest clients were? They were founders, right? And even though I was born and raised in Silicon Valley, never thought about being a founder in tech ever. It was only after being in wealth management and then seeing the impact that these founders that were my clients and friends now were actually having on the world. It was one thing to see their bank accounts and be like, dang, like this is very lucrative for people that are successful. But seeing the impact they were having on the world with their products, and then maybe even more importantly, it made it human to me that if this person, this guy or this girl can be successful, I can too. And so I ended up selling my book of business to my two business partners at the time. And I packed all my stuff in my car, got an apartment in Soma in San Francisco. I drove up like 30 miles and I had no idea, but I was like, I'm coming to San Francisco. I'm going to start a company. And yeah, that was like 6 years ago.
Founding a company or a startup is never a straight line. So I'd love to dig into that, kind of talk about the road that got you to Hubble. So you've described, I think I saw it somewhere, that um, you had a 6 brutal years of building. What kept you going?
Yeah, I'll try not to get into too many details because I don't want to relive those days. Um,
I bet.
I think for me, it was always one of these things where I didn't have the idea right away. I just had that dream inside of me. I just had that like that pull of like, this is something you should do. Like I remember when I first moved to San Francisco, you know what my education was on foundership? It was literally listening to podcasts. I would walk all around the city and I would like listen to like how I built this from Guy Raz, right? And he would just be talking about some successful founder and I'd like learn their origin story. And then I'd learn like, okay, they struggle with this too, or they have to go through iterations, or hey, the first version of their thing didn't work. And like all those little things just kept encouraging me to feel like, hey, I'm not alone. These successful companies also went through times in the desert or times when their ideas or their products weren't working. And so I stayed at it. And I think like I was about 4 years in, I just realized one day this founder journey is insanely hard. It's harder than the NFL thing. It's harder than even getting into finance, which is hard for me because of how much time you have to put into it before you even know if anything is working at all. Um, and it's extremely lonely, but it was like just literally listening to other founders and continuously just like being around them and talking to them and reading stuff. It just it let me know that the path isn't easy. It's not straight. But the ones that make it are the ones that don't give up. You know, we hear this a lot. It's like it's truly about following your curiosity and having grit and literally just not taking no for an answer. At year 4, I start writing on LinkedIn because I was like, I'm just going to help founders. So I start writing on LinkedIn. My following starts getting big. That led to tons of founders messaging me every day, like, hey, thank you for this. How did you solve X? How did you get your first 100 users? How did you raise your first round? And for 14 months, I literally would help every single person that DM'd me. And it was only like through that journey and that process that I like realized, dang, I'm only one person. There's millions of experts in the world that would love to help other people. And a lot of the people out there shouldn't really be talking to me. They should be talking to Anastasia, maybe. They should be talking to somebody else because what they're trying to do, she has more knowledge than I do. And what if we created this network of experts that truly care, that want to show up, that want to help founders, so that those founders don't have to spend 6 years in the desert like I did. And yeah, it was just one of these things of like reinvention and just kind of following your curiosity, where eventually one day, and we can get into this, but one day it just kind of hit me and I'm like, oh my gosh, we are going to shut down this company and we are going to launch this other thing. And that's what we did.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think the way you described it, and I'm an immigrant myself. I've moved to San Francisco about 16 years ago. So the way you described how you approach building things from the ground up, and it's ultimately your social capital, right? The way I call it, as uh, give first before you ever ask anything, right? In return, and I think it's so important, and a lot of people do not quite get it, especially the founders who may not have come from, Silicon Valley or San Francisco, have not been around that mentality, especially in the startup ecosystem. So I think some people underestimate the power of social capital, right? Everybody think about like, okay, there's a fundraising capital, right? Like I need money, that's financial. Like there's a human capital, I need the team to build it. But in my opinion, social capital is as important to keep you going, to surround you with a network of people that give you that fire, right? So you talk about, what kind of got you to switch to Hubble. You saw that gap in the ecosystem. Um, what is that problem that you're trying to solve right now? And like how you're building around it, right? Like you saw the gap. Okay, you mentioned like other people maybe doing something similar. Like what is that you're doing with Hubble that you think is so unique?
I'm very grateful for other sort of companies that have come before us that have done similar type of things. It was only after me being an expert on their platform for 7 months where I realized there were so many things wrong with the current top product on the market. And I think sometimes too, if there's a product and there's already maybe a competitor out there, that should never be a deterrent for somebody to launch something if you're passionate enough that you think you can make a solution that's better than the current thing. So Hubble was really out of that. There was like this one moment when I was coming home from a failed product launch from my past company, and one of my early investors calls me. I was driving home. He goes, "Hey, how's that booking link thing you told me about?" And I tell him all the good things about it. And then I also tell him, like, when you truly care about a space, you're going to see stuff that the normal person just glosses over. Right. And that's always a good sign. If you truly care about something, you can make something better if a company just half cares. And it felt like this company half cared. So I tell him how it's going. He goes, "Look what I designed." So I get home, I open up my laptop. And if anyone has ever seen this movie with Bradley Cooper called Limitless, this is what this moment was like. I open up my laptop, he shows me the design, and it was literally like I just took one of these Limitless pills. And I was like, holy we are going to pivot this company, and this is what we're going to build. And it was like all these years built up, all these years in the desert, all these years of me helping other founders, all these years even of like using a competitor's product without me even thinking about launching something like that hit me like a tidal wave. Um, and it was an amazing moment. That person became my co-founder 2 days later. We pivoted the company. That was 6 months ago. We worked on Hubble for a month. We launched it, and now we have almost over 2,000 bookings.
Speaking about your community and, your LinkedIn following, how do you turn your community that you've built over the years to be almost like a differentiator and the moat for Hubble?
If there's not true care in the problem you're solving and the product you're launching and the people that are using your product, you can't fake it. And I think one of the advantages of us and our company is like we truly do care about it. We're a team of founders. We've all been through those tough times. All the experts that we onboard, we manually select them and we take 30 minutes one-on-one with them, and we truly make sure like not only are they high caliber, not only do they have domain expertise, because that's like, okay, that's one box to check. The other box to check, does the person even want to show up on a call and truly help somebody? Is that something that that person enjoys to do? And once that box is checked, there's this realness, there's this rawness, there's this like true care. And anybody that books a Hubble call, I promise you, you're going to feel that. That's the catalyst for creating a community. But the ingredient behind it all is you truly have to care. You can't fake a community. You might be able to fake it for a little bit, but you have to be real. You have to come correct, and you have to truly care about the thing that you're launching if you truly want other people to care and be a community.
You can't scale the fake community, right? Like it has to compound, it has to work on its own, and it takes a lot of time because the Notions community is extremely strong, right? Like it's one of our power plays, but you can feel like when I joined Notion 3.5 years, you can feel it. I was like, oh my God, I never seen anything like that before. But at the same time, when the community comes together from very different backgrounds and just love the product, uh, you better cherish it. You better nurture it, right? Like, and we spend a lot of time doing that at Notion. What role has personal brand played in Hubble's growth?
Let me take it back to like the very beginning. You want to start with a motivation of giving first, right? It's not about receiving. And not only is it not about like receiving, you should even think like every post that you post, if you want to grow your personal brand, if you're a CEO, if you're a founder, you have to be writing. If you're not writing, and it doesn't mean you're like writing about your product, you should write about your like vision. You should write about your goals. You should write about like your dream. Another incredible story. First investor in Uber, shout out Mike Walsh. One of my first viral posts I ever wrote on LinkedIn was Uber's first investors and how much their investment is worth at IPO. It went crazy viral. It got like, I don't know, 12,000 likes or something. And I'm going through the comments. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? It's like 1,000 likes on his comment. So I click on it. I'm like, oh, shoot, that's the guy I just wrote about. So I connect with Mike. I don't talk to Mike once for like 16 months. Hubble comes around and we're thinking about our first cohort. And like, I'm writing down some names. I'm like, oh, Mike would be incredible. So we get on an onboarding call like this. I'm onboarding him. And at the very end, he goes, hey, are you raising money for this? I was like, and it all happened so fast, right? Because we pivoted, we launched this new thing. I'm like, yeah, we are. We've kind of, we have like maybe 500 committed right now. I don't know exactly how much we're raising, but let me get back to you. And later that night, I'm like going to sleep. I'm like, Kevin, you're an idiot. Like, this is Uber's first investor. You just tell him yes, and we figure it out, right? I devise a plan. Okay, in the morning, I'm going to reach out to him. I'm going to say, hey, I'm sorry, I should have been warmer about this. Like, we would love to have you. But I wake up and I already have a DM. And he wrote me a DM. It was like straight out of Wall Street. And he calls me pal. He's all, hey, pal, I went in on this deal. He ended up wiring a substantial amount of money. Like 15 minutes later, he signed his safe super quickly. But again, that underscored the fact of I literally wrote something 16 months prior. He saw it. We connected. We didn't never talk. There wasn't an immediate sell, but there was this slow connection that was built from being active and being present and just sharing thoughts and just being real and authentic. That when I finally did meet him, within 15 minutes, he's like, I want to invest. And I didn't even ask for the investment. Somebody's saying they don't have time to write even once or twice a week, you're just making an excuse. Or you just don't understand the value of getting out there as a leader. You need to be talking about your thing. You need to be vocal. You need to be present. Otherwise, like your product, you're not going to have good distribution. It's going to be obscure. So you should always make time.
But I also believe I saw somewhere that you were cautioning people against going to VCs too early. Like, how should maybe first-time founders approach investors? Like, how would you advise them to balance,
Yeah.
like, "Okay, I need money and I need money now," versus like, "Hey, I need to build this relationship and understand, like, what I'm bringing to the table."
Early on in the journey, go ahead and find a couple seed stage VCs and go ahead and meet with them. Don't tell them you're raising money. Just literally treat it like a first date. So we're on a date. You're a VC. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Great to meet you. What type of companies do you like to invest in? What's your average check size? Is this your first fund? Oh, it's your third. Congratulations. A lot of the back and forth. At the very end of the meeting, we're trying to leave with one thing. And this is how we get it. We ask this one question. Anastasia, great to meet you. When Hubble does go out to raise our seed round, what would you need to see from us to make it impossible to pass on our round? This is like the golden goose, right? We're going to leave this conversation. We didn't ask them for money, but we're going to leave with supreme clarity in what that VC is going to need from us as a business, metric wise, to be not only considered to raise a round, but as soon as we have these things, we're going to be prime in their eyes. Now we can go talk to angel investors. So let's go raise 400K just to give us enough time and resources to get to these milestones. If we get to these milestones, they'll probably invest in our company. They're going to be interested in what we're doing. So, because of that, we put together a smaller angel round of 400K to give us time and resources investors to believe in what you're doing, because all they need to do is, yes, they believe in you as a founder. Yes, they believe in the idea, but you also have a clear roadmap. If this is like a road trip, yeah, the next stop is actually 107 miles away, right down this road. And so this is the way we're driving, you know? That sort of clarity is going to allow angel investors to dramatically increase your odds of raising money. But that's why I say, like, we set those VC meetings, that's great. Let's get back to now angel investors and smaller checks so that we can get to those metrics. We can show traction, we can show revenue, user growth, waitlist growth, whatever the metrics end up being. Then that's a better time to engage with them to raise a larger round.
I'm curious how you think about, you know, talking and sharing your vision, talking about your company, like sharing them what growth you're gonna have, and always wanted to have this hockey stick, right, for the growth piece. But desperation is a deal killer, right? Like, how can founders actually project confidence without faking it?
The moment you come across too desperate, I promise you that investor will never invest in you ever. There's a reason that you put everything else on hold in your life to do this thing, right? You have to have supreme conviction in that and that it will work out. And if you don't have supreme conviction in that or that it won't work out, people will sense that. That needs to be your mindset. As hard as it is sometimes to have that, that's super key. We can't be desperate. These early stage investors, they want to attach themselves to your vision. So don't be afraid to like get excited, talk about your vision, talk about your goals. Don't be so grandiose to where it's impossible on how you're going to like tactically get there. You still have to show like, here's where we are, here's where we're focused on, but here's the impact of our company. Here's the things we're doing. All of these metrics and data are reserved for Series A, Series B, Series C startups. Early stage, they're betting on that founder, that vision, and that dream.
I believe you're very big on investor updates and like sharing that momentum. Like, what makes a good investor update? Like, how often should you send them? Should founders do them? Like, what's your approach?
If you're not doing investor updates, that's such a rookie move. It's easy to do them when things are good. It's hard to do them when things are not good. Any founder who's listening to this, I promise you, the people that want to see your business be successful outside of the team that's a part of it are your investors. These are your biggest supporters, your biggest fans, your biggest advocates. When you do an investor update, you should do it once a month. We use Notion and it's super simple, super straightforward, but it's very transparent. It's honest. We just kicked off a round recently. We're raising $4 million of seed round. First thing that I did was the 13 quote unquote most connected, maybe best angels, best VCs that we had on our cap table that I felt could totally help here. CC'd them all in an email, said, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're raising. Here's how much is committed right now. It was like a rally cry. If we weren't sending investor updates every single month and I just ghosted these people for 7 months, how do you think they would react? Because we're on offense with the communication, it was almost like they were ready for this moment. And now it's like, here's your call to step up. So when we talk about investor updates, like it's just about being prudent. It's about communicating. It's about keeping your people in the loop. And the one thing that I would say is like, these are your biggest supporters.
We are almost at the end, so and we finish every episode with kind of like a lightning round of our advice block for founders. So then my first question for you would be, if you are to start your founder journey today, what's one thing that you would do differently?
Work on something you care about. Like work on something you're truly like obsessed might be a little aggressive, but like work on something that like gets you excited to talk about. Because the founder journey is going to be insanely hard. It's going to be slow. It's going to be painful. You want to decide to work on something that's meaningful, that even on those tough days, you're excited about, right? That mixed with once you have that thing, don't just build it, right? Go talk to people that you think also have that problem. Go talk to potential customers. And then instead of just getting right into like hiring engineers and actually coding the thing, find an incredible designer and work with the designer and go through iterations with the designer and those customers super quickly and develop a prototype on Figma that's like something magical. That's something that you've worked with, with hundreds or 50 or 200 potential users. And once you get to that point and the market is pulling you and they're like knocking on your door and sending you emails like, hey, when is this thing ready? When is this thing ready? That's a great time at that point to start a company or to hire somebody or to start building.
That's a great one. Um, what's one lesson that shaped you or shaped how you build and lead the team?
Always think about your mission and your why. Like for Hubble, it's like, one conversation can change everything. And we believe that nobody should have to go on the journey by themselves. And like that's our North Star. And how can we make our product better so that it achieves more of those things? It's not about like, oh, this competitor launched this thing, so therefore we should also launch this thing. Or, oh, once our product gets better than them, we've won.
My last question for you is what's one piece of advice that you'd give for the founder who's just starting out?
Try to enjoy the ride. Try to enjoy the process. Just know that it's going to be difficult, but you're not alone. If it starts to get hard, nothing great comes easy. And try not to get caught up on having destination syndrome. When we raise this round, I'll be happy. When we get this much in ARR, I'll be happy. Enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, and pick something that's worth it.
Yeah, that's an amazing advice. I think a lot of people and a lot of founders in particular forget about the why and the vision that they have in the beginning, and then the mental capacity is just so limited, right? Like the burnout is real, the journey can be very slow, and if you don't have a large team or a co-founder, also can be very lonely. So keeping that in mind and like having fun along the way is really important. Sometimes can just get you through that day. Um, but in general, it was so great chatting with you today. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, sharing some amazing gems along the way and insights that you have. I think the main three key takeaways for me would be that you have to care. If you don't care, nobody else will. Second one is the community will only work if it's authentic. Authenticity matter in everything that you do and how you lead the team and how you communicate externally, how you build relationships. And number three, little things matter. Little things do compound, right? And then like in the end of the day, those little things that happen in the very early days of your founder journey or your company will come to light. And I think it's important to keep that in mind. But it was a lot of fun,
It's the little things in life that are the big things.
right?
It's true.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me.